Hello, my name's Andy Latham and I want to welcome you to our course on the Tracer Diagnostic Tool, which is a component of the Application Designer Suite. As with all the other courses that we've been going through, there are some prerequisites, but fundamentally by now, if you've been following the other courses, you should feel confident in developing your own app. You should understand the user interface controls, data sources, and things like that. So let's quickly move on to the agenda. I'm just going to go over some overview and basics of the tracer. Then we'll drop into a demonstration of the tracer in action, how to launch it, explaining its output, seeing its use with data sources and VB-script, and looking at the call-out warnings that it can generate. And then finally, looking at how you can export trace results, which is key to how one might support an app in the live environment. With tools like the tracer, I always like to ask myself, why on earth does it exist? Well, let's have a quick look. What we need to remember is that the app designer is much more than simply a UI with a VB script engine tacked onto it. It is a proper low-code, no-code development environment. And as such, it's doing an awful lot outside the VB script automatically. For example, running data sources and populating forms lists using charts. Because it's doing all this automatically behind the scenes and away from your VB script, we do need a way of seeing what it's doing. For example, what SQL statement is it actually doing if you're using a custom data source. And we can see those sorts of things in the tracer. So let's have a look at, move on and have a look at some of the basics of the tracer. So let's look at some basics with the tracer. We've already covered the fact that the tracer is a diagnostic tool to help developers and support people monitor what the app is doing. It's important to recognize that it will, when launched, it will run in the Syspro instance for as long as that instance is running. Now, we'll cover this a little bit later on, but just remember that if you're in the app editor and you press the run command so that you can run your app, it launches a different Syspro instance from the one that the editor's in. It can be launched from within the app, which I've just discussed, or from the main menu, and we'll see both techniques as we demonstrate it. But importantly, it can do some of the following things. It can monitor the events, showing the parameters passed to each event. You know, in our VB scripts, we've had on initialize and on user event and things like that. It monitors every single call out to the core Syspro product and will show the parameters passed to that call out. You as a developer can write to the tracer with a tracer call out from the VB script to it. So rather than replace the message box techniques that maybe a lot of you do. And believe it or not, you can make temporary or permanent changes to the VB script whilst the app is running. And we will see that in action as well. One really useful feature that I quite like is the fact that as it's monitoring the call outs, it's keeping an eye on how frequently you use them and whether you're using them excessively or in maybe a recursive loop, and will warn you that if you are using them in this manner, then maybe there's a better call out to use, and we'll see that as we go through our demonstrations. And finally, it monitors all the data source calls. Now, this is important because it will display can display the actual SQL statement with all of any variables expanded with their values. So you can genuinely see the actual command being executed by the app that you've actually run. And finally, importantly, it can run clearly in the core Syspro UI, but it also can run on the Ivanti UI as well. So those are the basics. And what I'm going to do now is going to nip over to App Designer, run up the final example that we use in the chart course, and then have a closer look at how Tracer actually works.